Hello! We're back with our first devlog of our game Quiet on Set, where we're trying to create a no-compromise story video game set in the golden age of Hollywood. So we've chatted a little bit in the last video about using motion capture for this game. Motion capture is going to be really important for this game because the majority of this game is going to be characters, and characters move and they animate. And so in order to get all this really complex animations efficiently, we're looking into two different motion capture systems. The first one is Vicon. And Vicon is kind of the industry standard for like movies and video games, like really high budget stuff. And they're really incredible with their tech. The other benefit of them is they capture hand tracking along with the body capture. So there's that, and then the other system that we were looking into is called OptiTrack. Now OptiTrack is also another really good system, and they've also been used by really big budget games. But one of the issues is you can't get hand tracking, and we really want hand tracking. So one thing that we were testing is these gloves from a company called Rococo. We got these to try and see if they're good enough for what we're going to be using them for. And the idea behind it is that we can remove a lot of the complexity with animating hands, really, picking up things. There's just a lot that we would have to do if we have, all these characters going and acting and touching things. And, when you're talking, you just do natural gestures with your hands that are really subtle. And they work really good. And they get you maybe, 80%. But as you can see, one of the main issues that we were having when we were testing it is that when you would go to like grip something cylindrical, as an example, the hand shape really wouldn't line up with the hand shape that you're making. Right. So in terms of production, we would have to go in after the fact and do all of the tweaks, the hand manipulation to get it into that shape that we would want. Right. And so that, I think, would be too much work. Our current plan is to have a motion capture volume that's roughly 20 feet by 20 feet active, like volume, with like 2 people. That's kind of the minimum, because we want interactions between characters. We'll have 2 people fully body tracked, and then with the hand tracking. And then this is still in the works, but we thought it would be really helpful if we could have maybe a projector overhead that would project the scene onto the ground, so that we could be like, okay, hey, a character, Jim, he's in like the store, and we can project the store onto the ground, and we can have the locations of like, the shelves, and then the 2 characters that are acting can be in there and know where everything is. Yeah. So we chatted a little bit about a program called Houdini in our last video, and I wanted to go a little bit more in detail about why we want to use Houdini and the benefits of that kind of approach. So the main thing is that when we were working on our previous game, there were so many things that we would build and work on, but then we would put a ton of work into creating like a scene, and then it would be stuck there. And then we would need to come back later, and we're like, oh, for one reason or another, we need this puzzle to be in a different spot. So then we would have to go in there and pull out all this work that we had done previously, and it was just it was kind of painful to do that because we put so much work into it. So the whole idea with Houdini is that everything is procedural, where you can you're basically creating instructions to make something, as opposed to explicitly putting the vertices and everything together. So this network makes this house over here, and one of the things you could do is, as an example, you could zoom in here, and I could, let's say that after the fact. So Daniel and I are making a building, and we're like, okay, hey, for this particular story reason, or maybe for a visual reason, we're like, I want this door to be somewhere else. With Houdini, it's as easy as going in here, and if you design it in the way that I have here, we can literally just move the door wherever we want, and it automatically it automatically cuts the door out, and then, you know, right now it doesn't really do this, but it would automatically cut a hole in the wall, and it would place the door, and it would do, you know, whatever else you need. The point being, it can adapt, and it can be designed so that it's non-destructive, and in the future we can go back and tweak values, and everything is generated as opposed to us going in there and hand doing everything. Houdini would get us 80% of the way there, and it would place basically all of the really simple stuff logically.
Houdini's kind of pitch is that their software is an art directing tool, so that you don't have to go in and do all the little nuanced details that are just tedious. You get to just be the art director and say, oh, this house looks good, but can we have the bushes smaller? So we worked more on the story. It's 120 pages long now.
Okay.
Cool. We figured we'd show you guys up close a little bit more about some of the concept art I've been working on. I still am a little rusty with concept art because during the production of The Pedestrian, I kind of put my interest in concept art on the back burner while I was learning 3D modeling and animation and all that stuff. So now I'm trying to pick it back up and get good at it. That being said, let's just take a look at this piece right here. Is a scene in a conservatory, which is attached to the outside of a castle. This is some of our main characters breaking into the conservatory. This piece, I did a combination of mocking it up in Blender. It's just a lot easier, I find, to go ahead and get a good perspective and just get some forms all blocked out inside Blender, render that out and paint on top of it. And this was my try at doing that. It worked out pretty well, and I just mostly wanted a good concept piece to kind of show what does in general this movie studio look like, and I want to come up with a really nice iconic look for each character. So we've got Bob and Drew here, and the kind of outfits they have need to fit the personality they are, but it also needs to make sense for the fashion of the time. So all of this art is more just getting some ideas and feelings out there, but ultimately our art style, which we want to have an art style, we just don't want to kit bash a bunch of stuff. The art style we're encapsulating pretty much in one image that I found a long time ago, and it's one of my favorite artists. And he's actually from the time period that we're setting this story in, which really helps. And the artist's name is Tom Lovell, and there's a very specific painting that I found, and we're using this as reference for the mood, the texture, the lighting, everything about this one painting is kind of how we want the art style to be.
So one of the other things that we have is some really rough gameplay. This is something that I kind of threw together pretty quickly. It kind of does some of the core things that we're wanting. So this is the very bare bones kind of prototype that we've got going on. So the map is going to be pretty huge, and one of the things that we've come up with in order for the player to get from one side of the map to the other really quickly is to have a vehicle. So you can currently you can hop in the vehicle, you can drive around the movie set, and so you'll like drive from one side of the map to the other, and then once you get there, you can like stop your car, you can get out. And then the other cool thing about having a vehicle, not only you can get from one side to the other side faster, but the vehicle will be your like hub, your control center, where you can pick up one of your cameras, and it's green, that's in the works. So you can pick up one of your cameras, you can like place the camera down, and then you can go back to your vehicle, hop in it, and then you'll have these old monitors, and all the art is non-existent. So this will look like 50s, like 1950s monitors and screens. Then you'll be able to enter one of them, and then through the monitor, you can look through the camera and see the past. You can scrub the timeline. And then once you like watch part of the story, you can maybe hop out and you're like, oh, a character mentioned something about somewhere else. So then you could hop out, get into your vehicle and drive off to another location and watch another character that you didn't know about before. Or maybe they mentioned some room that you didn't even know you could get into. So that's kind of the really early prototype that we have for the game.
So it took a long time for us to decide on a title for the game. It's still not concrete, but we're both really happy with the name Quiet on Set. I think it works really well in describing what kind of story it is, and it kind of plays on multiple levels.
To do with the story.
Because the game was called Viewfinder for a little while. It was called Hollywood PI. It was called something else. All kinds of just placeholder names, but I think we're happy and we're probably going to stick with Quiet on Set. Titles of movies and games are super important because they have to do so many things. It has to be memorable. It has to be searchable. It has to be memorable. It has to be familiar but unique at the same time. So we really like Quiet on Set, and let us know what you guys think of it in the comments. Hopefully you like it, because that's the name of the video.
We can't change it.
If you guys don't like it, and then we may just change the title of the video later. So this is going to be a multi-year project, and we want to keep you guys in the loop on the whole thing. Hopefully every couple of weeks we will be releasing another video, keeping you up to date on what we're working on, and hopefully within these next 2 years you will see the process from nothing to a finished game ready to be shipped. And so we're excited about it. It's a lot of fun making it, and I hope you guys have fun watching it as we progress.
Thank you, bye.
See ya.